A very warm welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll be taking a look at an airline looking to grow its fleet. Two major US companies inching closer in their preparations for a merger, and United Airlines in 2024. What is their future? And that's where I'd like to begin. United has published its second quarter results for 2024, allowing the company to discuss its future for the remainder of the year as well. The major US carrier says it expects its mainline fleet to jump towards almost 1,000 aircraft as aircraft deliveries continued, albeit at a delayed rate. As part of this forecasting, the airline doesn't plan on seeing deliveries of any Boeing 787 Dreamliners in the third quarter. However, it is hopeful that 4 units will arrive in the fourth quarter of the year. The airline is optimistic that by year's end, it'll have a total of 75 787s in the fleet. These estimates align with the respective manufacturers' current expectations for delivery dates. 737 MAX deliveries are expected to grow steadily, obviously not as quick as what would have initially been thought. The airline says 12 deliveries should occur in the third quarter and 13 in the fourth quarter, bringing the end-of-year total fleet to 195 for this aircraft. The continued delivery of the A321neo family plane will make this one of the largest growers across 2024, as the company moves to a targeted 30 units by year's end in the fleet for this aircraft. The fleet will see reductions with the role of the A319 and A320, reducing from 170 seen at the beginning of the year to 157. Thanks to the removal also of more 50-seater aircraft throughout this year, total aircraft operations across its regional division will be reduced. The airline's operations and finances are a bit of a cautious area. It understands that overcapacity has become a more significant problem for other major US carriers. More companies in the region are expected to respond by making necessary cuts in the coming months. While the second quarter saw record profits, United Airlines expects an overall lower than expected profit for the third quarter to reflect the challenges I touched on. And as covered in other aviation videos, because of the record demand, United is certainly not the only company to have recorded record profits. The summer season will remain a strong point for the airline as it enjoys those record levels of demand. For instance, on the 7th of July, TSA checkpoints recorded more than 3 million people passing through in the one day. In the coming months, United will make further adjustments to its schedule to cope with overcapacity and therefore oversupply. However, despite this, CEO Scott Kirby said across the second quarter, it still managed to add international and domestic flights year over year because demand hasn't dropped, and this has been a very much strong point for the business. Sticking within the United States, and thanks to a new application, Hawaiian Airlines and Alaska Airlines are continuing their pursuit over takeover ambitions. The application sent to the US Department of Transportation involves the transfer of International Route Authority. As part of the multi-billion-dollar merger that will see Hawaiian join Alaska's network, much deliberation is being held over the future of the respective networks and obviously assets too. The application to the US DOT is an essential step, many argue, that must occur before a formal deal can conclude, permitting regulatory approval as well. The two major US airlines know that they're going to be facing obstacles, but they believe their coming together will be possible if they take the necessary steps to appease competition watchdogs. As part of the application, there is a request for the de facto transfer of the international route authorities from Hawaiian to Alaska Airlines. Furthermore, each airline's global route authorities are issued in the other's name. If and when this merger is completed, Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian will not operate under the same branding, so we won't be saying necessarily goodbye to Hawaiian Airlines. This brand will still remain intact. The pair will look to have their own identities stemming really from the similar branding, but instead, Hawaiian will be owned and operated by Alaska Airlines, and they'll look to benefit each other worldwide and use available assets such as wide bodies to grow Alaska Airlines' presence. Once a deal goes through, the group will look to serve more than 54 million passengers annually, with 138 destinations part of the network. However, this would extend to well over 1,000 locations, considering the impacts of codeshare arrangements, and you also have to remember the membership in the One World Alliance. In recent years, more US-based airlines have sought to consolidate in an overall bid to lessen the gap between them and the big three in the US. Alaska Airlines believes a merger with Hawaiian would also allow it to join in on the big three and even big four to obtain a larger market share. The two airlines' arguments for merging is that this will create greater competition, bring down fares, and provide greater connectivity for passengers. However, the merger continues to be put under review as the airlines prepare to find ways to seek approval and prove those doubting the endeavor wrong, which will be a challenge. We've seen some mergers go through, but equally we've seen other ones pushed back and denied because of the ramifications that they will have. And this is a pretty landmark one. Over to the final story, and EgyptAir will be growing its fleet as the government has unveiled plans to boost the fleet to 125 aircraft by the end of the 2020s. The Egyptian government says that an increase will be absolutely essential if they not only want to continue growing the airline, but the economy and more. Data actually indicates that EgyptAir only has 65 aircraft active in its fleet and 5 units are listed as parked. The total fleet age is at some 10.3 years. So by no means is it necessarily aging, and when you consider that there are next generation aircraft such as the 787, these planes and more will be a key building block for the next generation of fleet joining in the future. In addition to the currently in-service aircraft, last year EgyptAir confirmed it would take on the A350 and begin leasing 737 MAX jets. To achieve the ambition of 125 aircraft by the beginning of 2030, the hope is to increase the number of aircraft present to 97 by 2027, and then the remaining units will be added in the following 3 years. To meet the fleet increases, EgyptAir says it'll also be able to increase overall annual traffic through key passenger airports to upwards of 100 million. Currently, this figure is at 66 million, and I think the current numbers really do provide us with a fantastic overview of what they need to do to be able to achieve their ambitions. EgyptAir, well, they're hardly the only airline looking to achieve fleet expansion and growth in the future, with the greater economic benefits to be felt. Look no further than nearby Etihad Airways and even Turkish Airlines, who are charting a very similar course. These airlines, though, must remain wary of the available delivery slots and face more challenges in securing aircraft sooner rather than later, before available slots sell out further. If this were the case and there were continued complexities in the leasing market, these airlines may be short on capacity as others advance, and that's why we're seeing so many get in their orders now. That is going to conclude today's aviation news recap. If you have any thoughts, well, you can leave them down below in the comments. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the beginning of the Farnborough Air Show.